It's a Wednesday edition of Financial Literacy segment. Thank you so much for joining us once again on Millennium Kwacha. Today we continue discussing issues to do with financial management. Now, back again in Mr. Ngwane's house, right here in Lusaka's Hoodlands area. Now, for your information, I literally know every room in this house. If I want to go and prepare in Shima, I know which corner to visit. Thank you so much for hosting us once again. I'm home. This is home for me.
No, now you're no longer welcome. You stay here.
Great. Thank you so much for your hospitality, for your kindness as well.
Thank you.
Great. Now, today we're discussing creating job opportunities as an entrepreneur. Remember the number you're also calling or texting us is 0975740518. Also live on Facebook on Millennium TV Zambia. Now, Mr. Ngwane, this is a very, very interesting subject because when we talk about startups, I remember in the last edition you mentioned in depth startups. Now, one of the beauty with entrepreneurship is that we create employment for others.
Yes.
I think that's
first for ourselves, our families, and for others, in that order.
For ourselves,
for our families, and for others.
Great.
Yeah. Because you cannot create employee opportunities for others without creating it for yourself. So you start with yourself.
Great. That's a beauty with entrepreneurship. Now, when we talk about startups, these are institutions, these are businesses that are just starting. They don't have the required resources yet when starting to employ as many people as would be necessary. Yeah. How can they leverage? How can they maximize that period when they are not able to employ many people?
Yeah, so startups by nature are very risky businesses. They don't have a guaranteed success rate. It's like gambling. To tell you the truth, business as a startup is like bowler bet. the chances of failing in that venture is quite high. It has been assumed, or it has been studied, that most businesses that start tend to fail. In 3 years' time, most of them are wiped out. Only maybe about 25% will survive. So you can see that there's a high rate of failure in startup businesses. And like I mentioned in the last segment, I said the biggest challenge is cash flow. So you find that you run out of money. Now, where does this money go? One, you failed to sell your products. So you didn't bring in enough money to cushion you with your expenses. Number two is maybe you just overemployed. And this can become a big challenge when your expenses are actually more than the income that is coming. There are a number of business people in Zambia that buy Lamborghinis before their businesses actually start doing fine. It's been noted by many. You find that when they win a contract, the first thing they do is buy a Range Rover. So it happens, and that's why you find that most of these businesses, they are one wonder kind of success stories. It happened, they were successful, they used to be, now they are no more. So there's always this cycle. This cycle continues. However, if you strategically plan it, the business can actually be done better if first you involve family. Indians have done it. I know for Africans it's very, very difficult. I'll tell you that when I am making money, my brother wants to just eat the money without working. He actually just wants to come to the shop. I need 10,000 kwacha. I have problems at home. But when it comes to the work involved in the business, he doesn't want to be part of it. So there is a laissez-faire kind of attitude in our family members. That's why you find most people are trying to do businesses on their own. They are not involving their spouses. They're not involving their friends. They're not involving... Why? It's our culture. And sometimes we shouldn't even be complaining, no, our friends don't help us. Our relatives don't help us. Because our attitude when you employ a relative, I've been there. It's sickening. You literally have to beg somebody to work. So relatives have proved time and time again that they are the worst employees in our African setup.
Friends, but how do other families manage. Indian community, for example, it's family businesses. Legacies are built like that.
Yeah. Do you know the reason? In India, a hierarchy is always followed. When they choose a certain leader to lead them in that family, it will be followed. Now, here in Africa, there is a lot of rebellion. You find if my young brother is the one who's successful in business, then I can't listen to him. I'm the older, so why should I be listening to you? I listen to you. I'm laboring in the context of firstborn, secondborn context, instead of looking in the seniority context, instead of looking at who manages this business better. Because it's not about who's senior in the family. There are people who are very senior in the family, but they have no business skills. Why should we put them in front to run the business? We need to be united around the goal of how do we succeed as a family. But this family, I'll tell you, our African families are shaky by nature. Before even we come to businesses, they are shaky. Our bonds are very loose. We are very united at funerals and sicknesses. We are not united in business. We are always backstabbing each other. We are always fighting each other. And money for us, it's time for war. Whenever there is money in an African home, family, then war has started. It's who is that, who that. Then you find people accusations. This guy did this. Money brings a lot of division. Why? The other segment I mentioned, money is very critical. We don't understand it. We don't know how to manage it. And we just don't relate it with it very well. We have a poverty mindset. However, we need when we start a business, to try and find the better people in our families to work with. It starts with family, because family members can get any salary. I mentioned in the book, they can get any salary you give them. They will not take you to court for paying them less. There are minimum wages. Family members, I will pay them 500 kwacha. They will not take me to court and say, no, they are not paying me below the minimum. That's number one. Number two, when you are involving family members, the flexibility is there. We can knock off late together. We are going to the same home. But workers, once it's 17, they have to go. Friends, I always say, if we can involve friends with different kind of skills, we can always do better. However, I think, that's my opinion, if you're gonna go do business with a friend, put a contract there that binds the way you are going to run things. Friends, family is even better. They're the worst to do business with, because they will start getting influenced by their wives, their other friends, their family members. Then the fight is something that you never even try to manage.
Now, I've heard other human resource experts say, when it comes to employing family members or relatives or friends, to say, don't hire someone you cannot fire. I want to believe it's very difficult to fire a relative.
Yes, because once you fire them, you know where you are going to fight with. You are fighting with them at home. Now, because you are afraid, you see, this is a family member, just like a friend. You know how it will affect your relationship. So I'll tell you, if you're gonna hire a relative or friend, that person should have real high morals. Like, it's somebody you even know that this guy, when I tell him that, you know what, our business is not doing fine, I think you need to go away. You need to step down. This guy is gonna listen to you. It's not everybody you can employ in the business who's your friend and who's your family member. I believe personally that you are better off employing just people, because with them, they come there to work and they'll give you the respect and they'll be dedicated, because they have whatever drives them from where they're coming from to come and work for you. Family members, friends, there's a thin line between success and failure when it comes to family and friends.
maybe lastly, I know most entrepreneurs out there, one of the challenges they have is to find the right people to work with, especially as startups. People are coming with expectations. I remember personally when I started with certain business, engaging someone said, "No, I can't get this amount. I'm a graduate from the University of Zambia." They struggle to find, just like I would struggle to find people that would work for them, knowing that they're startups. So meaning the money, the benefits are less.
I will tell you, at Kawiwi, I once advertised on LinkedIn and Facebook. I said, who has tech skills, public relation skills, marketing skills, just these 3 skills, you have them. Join me at Kawiwi, work for free, and I'll give you shareholding of 5%. Very simple. Provide skills, don't bring in money. The amount of abuse I got from just that suggestion, people to the extent of saying, don't be using people in this country. So to conclude, I think when you are starting out as a startup business, first you need to try as much as possible to work with your family, because family, it's a beginning. I know that it's not gonna be easy. I know it's tough, but they have room. They can give you room to succeed than any other person. Then the second, try as much as possible to bring in friends. And these should be friends that really have the values, have the ambition, have, the drive that you have as well, because you can't just work with anybody. Lastly, employees. And these employees, you should be employing them strategically. Otherwise, you might end up with very expensive employees that are not productive, that are not going to help you to achieve your goals. And I think those are my thoughts on employing as a startup.
Great. So this is where comes today's edition of Financial Literacy segment. I was at the residency of Mr. Edwin Ngwane discussing creating job opportunities as an entrepreneur. Keep the messages coming, keep the calls coming, 0975740518. Drop us a comment. We're live on Facebook, Millennium TV Zambia. We'll be back again next week on this segment with another exciting topic. From me here, back to the studios.